everyone. Welcome to the Chasing Meet Cues podcast. I'm your host, Nicole.
And I'm your host, Trisha. Thanks for joining us once again. We have a very exciting episode today.
Yes.
We've been dying to record this one.
Yes.
Because it's probably one of our most recent beloved series we've seen.
Yeah.
Like most people that have seen it.
Yeah.
The Netflix original series, Nobody Wants This, just completely brought my faith in the rom-coms back to life.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to dive into everything Noah and Joanne today.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, we needed a series like this.
We really did. Because it really felt like a stretched out movie.
Yeah, movie.
With all the details we can't normally get in a movie.
Yes.
And it was just beautiful. No notes.
Good.
Okay.
No notes.
There was a couple things as we were doing some research on it that kept saying critics were divided. And I'm like, what critics?
What critics and where were you divided?
And also are you even qualified to be criticizing this? Because who are you and what's wrong with you?
Yeah. I just need to know what points were you divided, because
the people were not.
The
people loved it. I haven't seen one negative statement about this.
Me neither.
Okay. Anyways, before we really go down the rabbit hole, give us a quick little summary and go.
Okay. Nobody Wants This is a Netflix romantic comedy series that follows Joanne, played by Kristen Bell, a sex and relationship podcaster, and Noah, Adam Brody, a rabbi, as they navigate a complex relationship amidst differing religious backgrounds and societal expectations.
I feel like every time you finish a summary, I'm like, right. I'm like, I don't really know what to say right after that. But anyways, it's all true.
Yeah.
So we have Noah and
Joanne. I can't even do it. Joanne.
Shout out to House Bunny. But yeah, let's talk about who Noah and Joanne are and how we kind of see them living their separate lives in the very first episode. So we come to find out and get a little glimpse at Joanne and how she's a podcast host with her sister, and they have a sex and relationship podcast, and they just talk about all the things. She basically goes on these random dates from dating apps, and they're all duds, and it provides them with great entertainment and topical discussion.
Right.
And the sister is just kind of this funny, they just are two sisters talking on the couch, and that's the vibe of the podcast, which I actually love. It was such a cool current note to add. Just that storyline of them being podcasters is so
relevant.
Yeah, very relevant. But yeah, it's just this entertaining podcast, and she's kind of this they never really state their age, but again, it's one of those, they're clearly in their mid 30s and mid to late 30s, I would say, and they're just still struggling through life, navigating. It's not here's, the sister's divorced. They mentioned that, but she's never been married and obviously wants to be. She's trying to find a relationship. So we have her, and she's just the fun friend, very outgoing, whatever.
Yeah.
Then we have Noah, okay? And the opening scene we see with Noah, him and his brother arrive to his house, and their significant others are waiting in his house, and they walk in, and at the time he's dating Rebecca. Okay, and they walk in, and his brother notices that Rebecca is wearing an engagement ring, and he's like, what the heck, you guys got engaged? And she's and Noah's face goes ghost white, and he's
pale.
What? No, we didn't. Where did you get that? Come to find out, Rebecca found the ring, puts it on her finger, decides she was going to say yes anyway, tells his mom, and just acts like nothing happened. Nothing to him at all. And he's that's the whole spiel. She's I don't need a whole big to do. I was going to say yes. He's but that's literally my whole part.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to a point where we can do this. And they kind of have this like immediate, like it comes to a head.
Mm-hmm.
And we quickly find out that Noah is a fantastic communicator. Okay?
The best.
He doesn't let this simmer. He doesn't let it fester. He's like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
In
Like,
fact, I don't think I actually love you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they break up in that moment. So now we see.
I wonder if it could be argued that like he was already having those feelings anyway, and maybe that's why he didn't. He hadn't proposed yet.
I think so. And maybe this was just like the thing that gave him permission to walk away.
Yeah.
At a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now we find Noah and Joanne are both these single people. They share a mutual friend, and this mutual friend invites them both over to her house for a dinner party, and that's where we see their meet cute.
Yes.
So tell us about their meet cute.
So like Trisha said, they run into each other at this party. There's a bunch of people here, so it's not just like the two of them and the friend. But she walks in this like giant fur coat, and like it's like it's like the talk of the
she's peacocking.
Party at the beginning. Yeah, she's peacocking for sure. Anyway, she's like going to make herself a drink, and Noah comes over and asks if he can open the bottle of wine for her, which again, just like a nice little gesture, like, oh, can I open that for you? And he does. He struggles hard to get it open, but nonetheless, he does. And their banter back and forth is just so good. It's so funny. Like, it's not awkward.
Yep.
It's so Kristen Bell. I said, like, this is just her, I think. Like, it's not even a character. It's just Kristen Bell. But anyway, they end up.
Wasn't she told by the friend that, like, oh, hey, there's like two like single guys here, like a rabbi and
one's a rabbi, yeah.
One's like in finance or something.
Yeah. And she thinks,
so she just assumes.
She thinks the other guy's the rabbi because he looks the part of a rabbi. Turns out wasn't him. So she doesn't even know that Noah's the rabbi yet.
Right.
But they sit down and they have dinner, and it ends up coming out that he's the rabbi, and she's like shook.
That whole scene is so funny because when the person asks a question to the rabbi at the dinner and everybody's head goes towards Noah and hers is completely facing
on the other end of the
looking
table.
At the other dude, and she's like, wait, like she even cuts him off. She's like, why are you talking?
And he's like, I'm the rabbi.
Oh my gosh, gold.
So funny.
Yeah, and he's totally like smitten with her.
Yeah.
Like he just loves her personality. To some, she could be a lot. I could see where I think maybe she even mentions that, like she might be too much for somebody or but he just really is at first maybe just being entertained, but also quickly turns to be just like smitten. Like
he's like, I just like want to know more about this person. But I love, like, at the end of the party, he walks her to her car, which is like all the way at the bottom of the hill. And he's like, oh, it's fine, like my car's down here too. And I think it's just again just like a nice gesture. He walks her to the car to like make sure she's safe because it was only her leaving. So I obviously thought that was sweet. And he eventually was like, oh yeah, my car is parked up by the house. Like, so he didn't need to walk down there, but he did.
Yeah. We just love all the moments between them, like all those little details that they added in about just like him being a true gentleman.
Yeah, like opening the car door.
Opening car doors, just like walking her to her car in general. Like,
yeah. Like,
because it's also funny.
So
he's like,
sweet.
I'm on the neighborhood watch. Like, that's how he shares her friend. So they definitely both have this like interest in each other, but they kind of know like this can't work. Cause she tells him in that moment, like, I don't even believe in God.
Right.
So like, I don't even like, so she's more just like curious about him and like Judaism and him as a rabbi and what can he do?
Yeah,
like she thinks he's a
work?
priest and like can never marry or like have sex. And he's like, no, I'm just a regular guy.
He's like, that's not us.
Not us. He says that a couple of times and it's so freaking funny. The comedic timing in this is so subtle and beautiful and amazing. Again, no notes. You're not going to hear a bad word come out of our mouth about this. So just forewarning. So he mentions to her at the end of that moment that he's like, oh yeah, I'm a real rabbi. Like, in fact, like my boss asked me to like give the message this Friday at the service at the temple. And she's like, really? He's like, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Like, I just love that. And I don't know. So she decides at some point later in the week that she wants to like go see him because she kind of finds herself like wanting to know more about him. Like he wants to know more about her. So she shows up, which again is so funny. Like afterwards when she's talking to him and she does the whole like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, like the hand gesture thing. And he's like, oh my God. Yep, not us. Not us. I was just dead.
I thought it was so funny too. She shows up in like a bright red dress.
Oh yeah.
Which is obviously like on purpose as far as like how the shot looks and whatever. Like she stands out clothing. And everyone's like in dark neutral clothing. But yeah, I thought that was funny too.
Yeah, and just even her showing up, you can see like when his gaze finally does meet hers, there's just this like instant connection. Like he's just so excited to see her.
That she was like wanting to be there.
Yes.
And obviously like his family, and we see this that night, like his family highly disapproves of this between the two of them, like highly disapproves, because obviously in the Jewish faith, like they want it to be Jewish and Jewish.
Yep.
And that's not going to be the case here.
No.
So,
and they're all Team Rebecca still. Like they're friends with her family. Like his brother-in-law, his brother is married to a woman who's like best friends with her.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of causing this conflict, not only for Noah as he just ended a relationship, but now he has conflict with his own family because they're kind of like, why would you dump Rebecca?
Yeah. Like they think she's
the perfect
like,
woman for you.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, she's psycho. She literally dug in my drawer, found an engagement ring, put it on, didn't even tell me, didn't even
probably
care.
Wasn't going to until...
That's psycho. I'm sorry. And whether she's actually psycho or not, she just had a lot of like poor choices leading up to that.
Yeah.
Anyways, she seems like somebody that liked the idea of being married more than she actually liked Noah.
Yeah, and she even says it, what is it, towards the end where she's like, her dream was to marry a rabbi, like marry the head rabbi. And it's like, I think you were so stuck on that. Like you didn't really care who it was necessarily. Like the opportunity presented itself and you jumped on it, but like in the wrong way.
Yeah. Psycho.
And I'm like, you can just go find another rabbi then if that's your dream.
Very true. So that evening, they kind of end, and I don't know. We don't want to make this like too much like scene by scene recap, but like there's stuff to talk about that I have written down for like almost everything. But they kind of hang out that night, and we see the siblings meet, like her sister, his brother, and it's just they have an interesting dynamic this entire series too.
Yeah, it's funny,
and his brother is just so funny.
He's so goofy.
He is. He's just like goofy looking. Like he's like lanky in his own way. He's so big and tall.
Big, yeah.
But he's so funny. And the night doesn't really end that great for Noah and Joanne because it's been revealed to her that he's fresh off of this engagement, which is not a really true statement to make. Right. Like she didn't know he was engaged.
Yeah, she actually thinks he is engaged currently.
Right. And so she leaves before he really has a chance to clear it up. And she's clearly bummed, and he's like upset because he wanted this thing to continue. And so later on they do text each other, and he's like, hey, let's get dinner. I can explain everything. She's kind of like,
let's just cut our losses. Yeah, like let's not get too deep into this.
Right. And he's like, just as friends. And which in that text message moment, we both, this is again, just the detail. Okay. When he's texting her, we see from his POV that he's texting, and he literally types like drens. Yeah. And then it autocorrects to friends and sends. And I'm just like, even that bit is so great. And I hope everybody notices things like that. But she finally agrees and is like, fine. Mm-hmm. Okay, but she goes into this dinner like
I'm not staying.
No,
like, I'm just
this is just a quick, I'm here to hear you out. Mm-hmm. But that's it.
Yeah. And not going to order a drink. Yeah. Not going to order food.
That's not how it ended up going. So, yeah, tell us about that.
I mean, she ends up getting a drink, 2 drinks, actually. And I think they order some food or whatever, but they kind of just like talk it out, and I don't even remember the exact conversation necessarily, but like it ends on good terms, and then they kind of just continue the night. They go get ice cream. They're walking down the street. Mm-hmm. They're gonna part ways, mm-hmm. and she is just like, it's so funny that this thought even came out of her mouth about like, so like, do we just kiss or like?
Yeah, she's like, isn't it crazy? Like, we haven't even kissed yet.
Yeah. And
all this, like, they've interacted so many times.
Yeah. So he basically just tells her, like, okay, let me have your ice cream. Let me have your bag. Let's put it down. And then it's like they share their first kiss, and it's literally probably the best I think I've ever seen.
Best on-screen kiss. Adam Brody has the hand on the face.
Yeah. And it's
hand like your ice cream, put your bag down.
And it's like, boom. You think of a moment of like that, and it could seem awkward, but like just their banter and their sense of humor like makes it not awkward.
Exactly.
And I feel like it's her that could have made it awkward, but he just kind of leans into it and like goes along with it, and it makes it not awkward.
Because here's what I think, like, she's become so consumed with this modern dating world of like, she's kind of like guessing at how this is going to go. She's skeptical about men. She's like, even with him specifically, she's like, this is never going to work. So like, should we even? Yeah. Because like, even they finish, like, they come up for air from the initial kiss, and she's like, I mean, is there a world in which this works? And he's like, yeah. And then they go in for a second kiss. And I think he's like not distracted by like modern society and the way they're dating. He's just like himself.
Right.
And he's probably been in this relationship with Rebecca forever. And like, he's just excited by this different personality, this like who she is, her sense of humor, like all the things that she might feel insecure about.
Right.
He's just like, loves
it.
Yeah. And so I think he's kind of like the shh, like, calm down.
Yeah.
Chill. Give me your ice cream. Put the bag down. Shut up. I'm going to kiss you. That kind of thing. And she's just like 10 miles. Yeah. 10 miles, 100 miles an hour all the time. So obviously they have this like amazing earth-shattering kiss in her mind. And in his, but she, sends him this like funny text later on when she gets home, like, wow, that was a great kiss. She's telling her mom and sister about how great it was. And he's like not responding for like 3 hours. And she's kind of like, what the heck? Like, how do we share a kiss that great and then you're not going to text me back?
Mm-hmm. And it's also because she said, like, she says the text message, like, wow, like, that was a great kiss. And the next one's like, I think I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
So then she gets in her head about that, because she obviously knows she's joking, but like,
right.
She gets in her head, her sister gets in her head, like,
oh yeah,
saying like, well, guys don't typically like when you say something like that.
And then her sister's even like, okay, it might have been good for you, but like, maybe the kiss wasn't so great on his end. And she's like, no, like, I can tell you, like, it was a great kiss for both of us. So I just thought how the course of this night, like, went was just sweet, and it shows us more about how Noah is just so great, and Rebecca is so not that great.
Yeah.
And even her, and maybe not even Rebecca, but like her parents, like, were calling him. He had so many missed calls. She ends up in the hospital because she drove in the back of a bus.
Rebecca, and broke
her wrist or something. And so he gets there because he thinks something's genuinely wrong, and he actually like is a nice human and cares
Right.
about her still. He's not like a horrible person. And he finds out that it's kind of minor, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, whatever. Well, at this point, his whole family is now like out to get him.
Yeah.
Like, besides the brother, and he's kind of questioning himself, like, am I doing the right thing here? Like, whatever. So because of all this, like, he didn't even see Joanne's text. So ladies out there, we can't be so quick to jump to conclusions if we're not getting a text back in the amount of time we think we should get one, because maybe there's a legitimate reason that somebody's not looking at their phone. But she, like, you know, she gets in her head too, like you said, she's in her own head, her sister's in her own head, and she's kind of like questioning, am I a good person? Am I not good enough to be with this really good person who's a rabbi and like is so great?
Yeah. The self-doubt sets in.
Yeah. For sure. So on her way home, she like almost hits this dog in the road and ends up basically like rescuing it and taking it home and kind of coming to terms with like, okay, I think I'm maybe a good enough person to like be with him. But now she's kind of like in her feels because he hasn't texted her back. So she's just kind of like sad about it for a sec.
Mm-hmm.
But when she gets to his house, again, this is a moment I think I've always like dreamed in my head, like, if the guy wanted to see you, like, he would even go so far to like just wait for you at your house.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like the middle of the night.
He's just sitting on her like
stoop.
I was gonna say stoop too, but like, stoop is such a funny word.
It really is.
Stoop. Oh my gosh, stoop is like, if you say stoop so many times, it's gonna sound wrong.
Yeah, like it's not a real word.
Yeah, or if you look at it, stoop. So he's sitting on the stoop, waiting for her. Stoop. He's on the stoop. And
say it again.
Stoop. Okay,
yeah.
We're done. And I can't, you're gonna have to go, because I can't repeat my sentence or like continue it without saying it again. I don't know why.
Can't even breathe. I'm dead. You're just like stuck on like like a broken record. Like, so he's sitting on the stoop. So he's sitting on her stoop.
So the stoop is there. He's sitting on it.
He basically tells her like where he was and why he didn't see the text message, and then he thought her text message about being pregnant was hilarious. Like, he thought that was so funny because he was like, wow, like, I've never kissed somebody so good that they got pregnant. Like, wow, what an accomplishment.
He said, like, congrats or congratulations.
Right, yeah. So he obviously knew it was a joke, and she's like, see, I knew that was funny. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, she obviously let her sister get into her head about that. Pardon my throat clearing. I just think his general pursuit of her is just so great. Like, the chivalry is not dead here.
No.
And
it doesn't have to. I think when people say like chivalry's not dead, like, I don't know if sometimes men think as women we expect chivalry to look like paying for everything, treating us like a queen, and da 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 da. It's like, yeah, open the doors for us and open the car door, walk us to a car, whatever. Like, that to me is like a bare minimum thing that like we should be doing, like, in general, whether we're in a romantic relationship. Like, we have guy friends that would do those things for us because they're men and we're women. Like, that's just like the kindness that they show. Yeah. But like you're saying, the acts of chivalry that I see in him is the above and beyond things that he's choosing to do for her specifically. Yeah. I want to make sure, I want to reassure you, I want to settle any stirring feelings you may have of doubt, or like even if it's self-doubt or just doubt about the relationship. Like, he wants to make it clear to her, like, I'm interested in you. Yeah. And like, so good. What's important to her is important to him. Right. Right. And he's been like fairly confident moving through this whole scenario where she's been a little like, is this even gonna work? Should I? Am I gonna like he's just like the rock. Yep, yeah. Like, let's keep this train moving until his friends kind of get in his head too. Like, oh, is this just a rebound? Like, because you're just coming off of your thing with Rebecca. And he's like, no. Like,
he's like very adamant. Like, she is not just a rebound. Like, there's a lot more to her than just being a rebound.
I love what he said, like, when the guy was over, like, giving him some condoms or whatever, and he asked him that, and he's like, I know, hey, go ahead, rebound, like, you deserve to have a fun time, and he's like, he specifically said, Joanne's more than fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not just in this with her just to, like, get over Rebecca.
Right.
Or just to have fun with anybody. And, but he does get in his head about the date, and she's in her head about the date. So they both kind of enter their first official date with these, like, pressures they've put on themselves about, like, he feels like he needs to talk about their fears and, like, all these real deep conversations to ensure that it's not just a fun, casual fling. And she's kind of like, I don't know, what was she in her head about? Or was it more just him?
I think it was really... Wait, are you talking about... at the store?
Yeah. But leading up to that, her sister had said, like, you're just like mom or something. I forget what. She was kind of like, I don't know, worried about being open.
Yeah, and like up. Scaring people off.
Scaring people off, like being too much of herself at the beginning or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a moment too where he reveals, like, he says something that reveals that he listens to her podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, wait a second, like, you listen to my podcast? And he's like, yeah, of course I do. And she's kind of like immediately scared, like, I don't want to, like, you to hear everything. Like, I don't want you to think I only care about sex or only talk about sex. Like, there's more to me than just that. And he's like, no, I get it. Like, whatever.
Yeah. And he said he was later helping a couple, like, that's in his, what are they, the temple?
Yeah, temple.
I was going to say, synagogue. Like, in the church, but it's... Anyway, in his congregation, whatever you want to call it. He doesn't use exact advice from the podcast that she gave, but it was just about, like, being open and honest, and he kind of thought about that as he was helping this couple. And he was just really honest with this couple, which in turn helped them.
Right.
So again, like, what's important to him or important to her is important to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she kind of, I don't remember if it was before that date or not, but she kind of had the mindset, like, whether it was intentional or not, but it was like kind of like the mindset of, he's the one, because she was like, this might be the last time I'll be with someone for the first time. So whether that was intentional or not, but she definitely, that was in her subconscious.
And she even made a comment that night to Noah that said something like, she almost slipped by saying, like, oh, this is just a funny story we can tell our future friends, like, one day.
Yep.
And so she's definitely feeling him.
Yeah.
Like
she's there
in a different way than, like, a typical, like, dud of a date on
exactly
from the apps, or just like a casual hookup or whatever. But they end up, like, having to go back to his house because, like, they missed their dinner reservation because of all the funny things that happened with the night. And so he invites her over and he cooks for her, which I thought is just so
another
sweet.
little thing that's just, like, so simple, but
like,
so great. I know the communication in this scene is just, like, level 100.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, guys, I also have to say, like a lot of people, I have been in love with Adam Brody since whenever the OC started, like 2004 or something. I'm obsessed with him. I love him so much. There's so much about him that I think we see to, like, his personality, because, or at least, like, the version of him that we see in characters. Like, in the OC, he also plays, like, a boy who's Jewish and is obsessed with his, like, Jewish heritage and, like, creates all these things. And so there's just his style of comedy and how it comes out, too, is just, like, the kind that I'm attracted to in real life. Like, just that quick-witted, like, he doesn't have to try. He's not a try hard funny guy. He's just funny, like, whatever. But I'm just this moment when he allows her to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Because they have this moment that they were both kind of like, yeah, what was that whole thing back there in the store where you're like wanting to tell me like all my fears? Like,
yeah.
He's like, I don't know. He tells her like, I was just worried about it. I want you to know like this is more than just a casual hookup. Like I want this to go somewhere, and like I'm serious about pursuing you.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, what are your thoughts? Like, and what is your fear? She volunteers to say it, but she's like too scared to say it right to his face.
She can't look at him.
So she eventually turns around to tell him. And as she's telling him this, like the way she can be vulnerable, just like even from an actor standpoint, I have a thing with on-screen criers. I'm sure you've heard me at this point talk about it, people being able to do that. But it's not even like a cry. It's like when you're talking about something that starts to get you choked up and your mouth starts to quiver and the tears well up, but it's never like a full-fledged cry. Like, that's where her heart is in this mind. Like, she's like, face. I don't normally talk like this to somebody.
Yeah.
I don't normally share this side of me. And she reveals that she's afraid that if she, if she's too much for somebody, that they'll eventually just like break her heart. And she's afraid of that heartbreak and rejection. Like a lot of people are.
Yep.
And as she's saying this, with no words at all, he comes up behind her and just puts his hand on her shoulder, like kind of like just gets close to her and just says, basically to say like, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm still hearing you out. And you can just see like almost this like wash of peace come over her body.
Yeah.
Of like, this is safe. This is a safe place for me to like be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And they obviously like, she was like, after she said whatever, she said, because I had to write this down. She said, was that like the most unattractive thing you've ever heard? Because that's what we do sometimes. We like
sabotage. Yeah.
Everything. Just like, yeah. And he's like, no, that was actually the most attractive thing.
Yeah.
And then they kiss and do married things that,
he also said that it would literally kill him to break her heart.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah, and there's many times where like she's constantly reminded that like Noah's not that guy.
Right.
Like she jumps to conclusions like, I can't believe you would do something like that. Or like she hears something or somebody tells her something and she's like, I can't believe you do that. He's like, I would never do that. That's not me. That's not who I am. Like, and so even in that moment of him saying like, it would kill me to break your heart. Like she's still coming to terms with knowing him fully, that like he's not going to hurt you intentionally.
Exactly.
So yeah, that moment was just so good. But that just like unlocks these, like the doors are open, like they're seeing each other.
Yeah.
All the time.
I think like we've said, the communication is so great between them. But even just like the way they're able to kind of pivot and not turn something that's so small into like a mountain, which we see for this like romantic weekend that they're planning.
Right.
It gets canceled. Like they're gonna go to this really nice hotel or something.
Yeah, somewhere in Big Bear.
Yeah, that gets canceled because the other rabbi like wants him to teach a class at this camp that he grew up going to. He's done these classes before there, and instead of her like freaking out and being like, "Oh, how could you do that? Like, how could you commit to that when you know we had this romantic weekend planned?" Like, they just kind of pivot. And she goes with him to this camp, and it's like they don't make it into this big thing that's gonna like ruin their relationship over nothing.
And it's not like they have to overcompensate and pretend like they're not sad about their plans being canceled and be like,
but they just talk about
totally
it.
Fine with that. In fact, that sounds even better than, she's like bummed.
Yeah.
She's like, are they gonna have robes there? And he's like, no. And she's like, but okay, like let's make the best of it. Let's do it. Like they can still be honest with their emotions and feelings, and then they move forward.
Right.
And they come up. They're people that say we have a problem, but we're not going to only talk about the problem and dwell on it and let it fester.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to come up with a solution in the moment or shortly thereafter,
right?
So that we can move forward.
Exactly.
And I think that's just probably partly their maturity, like their age that they are,
mm-hmm.
which is why I love it, because I'm like, we're in this very similar stage of life and both single. So we're like, yes, that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the moment where he's telling her, like, you know, the plans are going to change or whatever, they're laying in bed and he's just like kissing her hands. Like, I don't know. And that sounds weird to like say without looking at the scene at play, because you're like, wow, kissing your hands really like does it for you, huh? I'm like, no, but it's just like, I don't know. Like, you can just tell he just enjoys every bit of her.
Yeah.
Like,
and he can see like her little insecurities, and he knows that like he can do these little things to shut it down.
Right. Yep. So camp. I forget what the camp was called.
Me too.
But the one of the things I loved about this scene, or this whole like camp experience, was how Joanne is like interacting with the teen girls there, because this is me. Like, I care. I'm just gonna say, I do care about what teenagers think of me. Okay,
she does.
I want to be cool. I want them to feel like, and not just because I want to be cool, but like I want them to feel like I'm cool enough to come to and like talk about whatever problems. I've worked with teens for years and kids and all that, so it's just like, I don't want them to think I'm a loser. There's nothing more humiliating than a teenager being like, they're talking about me because I'm so dumb. And believe me, I've had that experience too. But that's how Joanne's kind of like, she's like, walks up to these girls like, hey ladies, like, I don't even know what she says, but, and they're just kind of like not impressed. They're not really giving her the time of day.
Yeah. And they're like, you're dating hot rabbi.
Yeah, which you can tell she's like, that's what you call him? Like, I feel so like she's dating hot rabbi. Like, yeah, she is. She's like, yeah, I am. He's like, really? Because like, I just heard him call you his friend. So she starts to get in her head a bit. But at this point, you know, the further this show goes, the more serious their relationship gets. The reality of the fact she's not Jewish and he is, and does want to pursue this for the rest of his career and life. Yeah. The more that is starting to like hang over his head and really make him have to think about that. And so when the rabbi ends up showing up unexpectedly to sit in on his class, he starts to like low-key panic. Tells Joanne, like, why don't you just like hang out here? Like, you don't want to watch my thing. And she's kind of picking up. They're both very aware of each other's, like, when you're not good, I can tell. Yeah. And they're quick to ask them, what's going on? Are you okay? Right. Like, they're not just being like, he was acting so weird the other night at this and this, and then they don't talk about it. They just go to the source. They do in the moment. Yeah. And why is that so difficult? I don't understand why. Like, and then it doesn't have to be this dramatic like conversation where people are bringing up, you know, their records of wrongs. Right. Well, 3 weeks ago when we were fighting about this, you said that, or when we were at this place. It's like now we're talking about 10 things that happened, and they couldn't talk about one. They don't have to do the record of wrongs because they've already talked about those things. If they happen, they've already addressed them in the moment. And some of which wouldn't even happen because when you don't talk about something and you continue to just like sweep it under the rug, more things start to bother you because you have this like thing in your heart and your mind that you haven't talked about. So you just start thinking negatively about that person. Yeah. Every little thing like bothers you, or you create a problem in your head that maybe doesn't even exist. So there's just so many moments like that between them where they just talk about it. Yep. So yeah, she gets him to basically say like, explain what's going on. Like he does. And she's like, okay, she's upset and like, hey, no, do your thing. Like, that's totally fine. Like, and she basically says like, I'm going to go on a walk or something, she says. And he goes and does her class. And when she like talks to the other rabbi there, Shira, like I don't know. she just decides that like she is disappointed and she should probably go, like, because
Home.
yeah, like home. And this is again where a moment, there's so many of these
I
moments
love this moment.
where there could be this big conflict.
Yeah.
Like in a rom-com, this could have been like the one conflict that we see towards the end of the movie that they have to somehow work through, and then they end up together at the end. It's like we have so many of these little moments because that's real life,
right?
Especially in a relationship like them where they're very different in their like core beliefs and everything. But it's not. Again, it's like they have this moment, she leaves, and then like I will say, we need to talk about this Shira moment because I wrote it down.
Yeah.
When she's giving advice to Noah about Joanne and this like difficult decision of like, do I really want to go through with being head rabbi if that means like I can't be with Joanne someday?
Mm-hmm.
And Shira, the other rabbi, was basically like, you know, hey, like I forget
something about how you feel.
Yeah, like instead of asking like, does she fit into your life as a rabbi, maybe you should ask like, how do you feel about her, and like how strong are your feelings for her, and does being a rabbi fit into that kind of vibe?
Yeah.
And hey, for the show, great.
Yeah.
Love it for the storyline. I looked at Nicole and I was like, yeah, that does not translate to how we think about our faith. Because like
I even said, remember, like it might have been towards the beginning. I just had this thought in my head of like, how crazy is it to like he doesn't want to, or he can't be with her because she's not Jewish. Like that's crazy. And then I was like, wait, I'm like, we're obviously Christians and we don't want to be with somebody who's not
that's
a Christian.
Like a non-negotiable.
So I was like, wait a second, like it's very similar to how we would feel about that. Like,
right. And I will say, like, I think there is a big difference between, like, just culturally speaking,
right,
between Judaism and Christianity, where like a lot of Jewish people might like be Jewish, but maybe they're not like practicing Judaism, or like, or maybe they are, but it's more of just like that cultural thing. And then there might be some people that are very serious about it. And they are only like us. They only want to share that with somebody who also feels like that. And that's like an important thing to align on in a marriage and a relationship. So, but the idea of like, I don't know, being counseled in the past or counseling other young people about like dating somebody that's not a believer or a Christian, like I would never be like, well, maybe you should just ask yourself how much you like them. If you really love them, like just be with them, and like hopefully the Christian thing works out.
Yeah.
No, I would be like, no, you can't be missionary dating. Like you can't date someone thinking you're going to save them or get them to follow Christ one day. Like that's not how it should work. It should always be the other way around. Obviously, there are situations in which that does work or whatever, but like that would never be the advice I would give somebody who's like struggling with that.
Yeah.
But again, that's because we believe we should be equally yoked, and you just can't be if you're someone who follows God and tries to live your life, you know, to please him, with somebody who doesn't give a rip and doesn't even believe about God.
Exactly.
Like that's like polar opposite. We're not even talking about like, I grew up in the church, I just don't go anymore, or like even that I would be like, no, but
like she openly said,
she's like admitting, I struggle. I don't even know what I believe. I don't even think I believe in God.
Yeah.
And he's like, definitely does. So it was an interesting piece of advice that Shira gives him, but it obviously causes him to think, because he tracks her down at the restaurant where she's having this meeting. And okay, you said that's a scene that you love. Yeah. Okay, just walk us through it then.
I do love it because he obviously shows up again because she knows, or he knows that she's feeling some type of way about it, like maybe he hurt her feelings, or you know, she's feeling insecure about it now. So it's again just a moment of him like comforting her. But the moment I loved about it was when she was like, you made me miss my first Shabbat.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of like the scripts were flipped, where earlier I was like, you know, what's important to her is important to him. And now we're seeing what's important to him is becoming important to her.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a little jokey about the Shabbat thing, but like
she's also just learning. Like she's like a little
there's-
sponge there. She's
yeah.
taking it all in because she doesn't. It's not like she's been a part of a religion or multiple religions and experimented with different things and she's made up her mind. It's like she's never really even been exposed. Like her family didn't have any. Like her parents never had any type of religion in the home or anything like that. So she's just like also like I think kind of curious,
right?
Like for her personal self too, of like what is this, and oh that's cool, and this is what Shabbat is or means, and
yeah,
I think there was real disappointment with the comedic humor because that's her personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cute.
It's also funny because he brought the candle, like there was a candle making thing at camp and for the Shabbat candles. So he ended up bringing them. He was like, well, you forgot these at camp. So I brought them and they did their first little makeshift Shabbat right there at the bar table.
And he did like the shortened version of like whatever prayer they say. And it is beautiful. Like there are so many parts of the Jewish faith I think are so liturgical and ceremonial and beautiful that I think a lot of times we've walked away from that, like just like even in our like Christian faith. But it was just a sweet moment and it was like serious, and they're in this busy restaurant and yet this moment felt like they were the only ones in the room. Like they were focused on each other.
Yeah. And they do make it official right then and there. Like they
do
are boyfriend and girlfriend.
I love that he asked her that. Like even as at their age, it's like, yeah, nobody wants to just like assume or try to guess. Like we've been dating for this long. Like I guess we're boyfriend and girlfriend. It's like, no, like I think there should be an ask.
I think so too.
You know?
I think so.
Yeah. And it was just so cute.
I just think at this point, like there's no room for like, there's no room for a gray area there. Like it needs to be, you know.
In fact, I love when she like screams. She's like, "We're off the apps." Like, that's how you know in this day and age. Like we're official. We're both off the apps. Yeah. So that moment of him being like, "Yeah, we're at camp." Like every time you go to camp, he had mentioned like the whole point
like
of going to camp is to leave with a girlfriend, and so he's like, we have to make this official. Like we're leaving last day of camp. Which is so funny because like we both grew up going to church camp, and there's I never left with a boyfriend either, but you always left with a camp crush.
Yeah, sure.
And surely there's somebody. Remember our friend, who ended up like, I don't know if they ever were like boyfriend girlfriend, but one of them.
Oh my word.
Anyways, he met that girl like, I don't know, like junior year of camp or whatever, and they like talked for like a long time, and they like saw each other, and they lived like in different states. But anyways, so camp romance can be a thing, people. But we always had camp crushes, at least I did. Like even in middle school, so it's a thing. But okay, the next thing I have written down is like talking about the ick factor.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, the ick is like another modern thing that they brought into it, which I love because it's silly, but it's also like real.
100% accurate.
And I think she would have let the ick win if it wasn't for Noah and his direct communication.
Yes, 100%.
And that's why I think, not to like blame shift and put it all on the men, but like that's why I think oftentimes we successfully just let the ick win because we can't bring it up,
right,
and be like, "Ooh, this thing you did like kind of like weirded me out," because like that you don't want to like insult somebody,
right?
And also you're like weirded out, and you're just like, "Ooh, like do I even like this person anymore?" But also because the men aren't like, I don't care what you think about my jacket, like I like you, you like me. Let's put that to bed.
Yeah, get over it.
Yeah, get over it. Let's talk about his icks, though. Like, let's just talk about the things that she was getting
Okay.
icked out about.
I mean, first of all, he was like about to meet her parents, but it was not planned. Like they were coming over and they didn't know. And he's just wearing his like basketball clothes, and that sent him into like a full spiral. Like because he was like raised to be dressed nicely like for occasions like that,
Right.
so he just like panics and is like, I'm gonna go and get like a different outfit, and also like we don't have enough snacks, so like I'm gonna go get that and I'll be right back. So
And
he
she's
does
trying to be like, it's chill. Like,
yeah,
you don't
she's
need
like,
to be worrying about that.
it's not a big
In
deal.
fact, she was like, meeting my parents is not important.
Yeah. And he's like, no, that's actually the most important thing to me.
Right.
So anyway, he goes off. He only comes back with a sport coat over his basketball clothes, so it's like slightly nicer. But he also, I don't did he even get snacks? I don't think he did. He
No, he
comes
came
back
back
with this giant bouquet of sunflowers, like
Yeah.
giant bouquet. This is when she like the camera's just focused on her, and her face is just like starting to sweat because she's like, no, he
And
did
the
not.
sister is also noticing these things
Yeah.
about him, but she's also noticing
Joanne spiraling.
crumbling.
Yeah. So I think that was the only two things. Oh, and then
when the sister said,
go ahead.
The sister's like, let me go find like a vase or something to put the flowers in. And she comes back. She's like, the only thing I could find is this like old Prego container. And I was just like, Prego!
With the accent, the hand motion, everything.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
She's done. And
Over
she's
the
like,
edge.
why did you just say that loud? Like, that was pretty loud. And he's like, was it loud? That felt loud or something. And she's like, I need to get some air. She goes out to the pool. The sister, they had already addressed, like, you have the ick. I can tell you have the ick.
Yeah.
But then she goes out to the pool, and the sister goes out to kind of like further the conversation.
Yeah. She's basically telling her, like, you have the ick. There's no coming back from that.
You better break up with him. How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Like, really, like, jumped to that conclusion. And she's like on board. She's like, yeah, I gotta end it. Like, I might just ghost him. Like, I don't know. And while this conversation is happening, Noah's in the kitchen having a moment with her mom, which I also thought was just the most precious thing.
Yeah.
And it could be like part of like his job where like he's counseling people or like seeing people, and he just cares about people. And he asks her mom, like, are you okay? Like, you know, she's seeing her ex-husband with somebody else and pretending like she's totally fine about it, and like he's moved on and she's just not, and they're not even divorced, they're just separated. And she's kind of like, that's the first moment where you really see the mom even be vulnerable, because she's just kind of this like crazy, like
whimsical,
very like free-spirited, like just doing her thing. But she's just like almost gets emotional saying like, it's really hard and I know I'm supposed to be over it, but I'm not, and like I'm trying to be strong for my girls because I don't want them to see me like this when they're already having to see their dad go through his whole thing. And like the dad just like randomly said like he loved them, like, or did he say it to his boyfriend, or did he say I love you to the girls? And they were like taken back like that, because the sister made a comment like, you know what the biggest ick was today? Is dad saying I love you, because like he's not affectionate. He doesn't ever say I love you. And so the mom is even recognizing that and says to Noah, like I don't even know who that man is out there. Like, that's not my husband. Like, he doesn't act like that. And I know it's hard for the girls, and so I'm trying to be strong. And it was a very short conversation, but he just basically was validating her feelings. Like, yeah, that would be really hard. Like, I get it. Like, you're doing great. Like, just it was
a very sweet moment.
Such a sweet moment. It's like, isn't that what we all desire for our partners in life? Yeah. Our teammates in life to be, is like also a source of encouragement and comfort for our parents.
Exactly.
Like anyone in our life.
Yeah.
And like, sure, it's not always going to be perfect and like that, but surely that should outweigh the struggles. And so I just thought that was so sweet. And again, a moment that we see Noah care about what Joanne cares about.
Yes.
Like, so he then realizes, like, I need to go talk with.
I need to address that.
I need to go talk with Joanne, because I know that, like,
he's feeling
she's not, she's,
something ain't right.
Something ain't right. So he goes out there and has
my.
that conversation with her. And again, the communication.
I know. I can't get over it. It's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I didn't really write too much down because it was just a quick moment of her being like, I got the ick, like, from the blazer.
Yeah. And he basically, like, or she just voices each thing, like the flowers, the Prego thing. And he's like, okay, basically what we already said. He's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but get over it.
Right.
Like, those are not things to, like,
And he even kind of, like, did half joked with the Prego. He's like, I knew in the moment I said it, I shouldn't have said it. Like, because when you're nervous, you do stupid stuff and you make a fool of yourself. Gosh, I've probably given somebody the major 25,000 times. But, like, yeah, he just nipped that in the bud really quick.
Yeah. Which is, it's funny too, because you and I can get the ick so easily about people we're not even
strangers.
Like, total strangers, or like people on the apps, whatever. It's like, it's an immediate no. And it's kind of like, do we need to, like, work on that?
We definitely do.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, okay, and some of what we get the ick about is, like, not just, like, physical looks or, like, things they say. It's just, like, key things in their life that are going to be red flags for us. But
like that they take pills or something.
Yeah, they're like, do you do pills? Sometimes. I'm like, okay, well, it's not going to fly with me. Or they list, like, every spiritual option that they give. Yeah. Like, they're, like, not spiritual, agnostic, Christian, Hindu, like, and an atheist. I'm like, interesting.
How does that work?
Cool. But yeah, no, we probably should, like, work on. I know I should at least.
Probably.
It's less about getting the actual ick. I can just be very critical.
Yeah. Same.
But I also think it's a defense mechanism I put up, just getting, like, all therapized on you. I do think it's, like, a defense mechanism. I'm like, well, I don't even want to, like get my heart broken so much so that I'm just gonna, like, put a hard line in the sand before I even enter any remote
it's like, how
chance
can I
of, like,
get my heart broken if everybody gives me the ick?
100%.
So we just find an ick.
We find an ick, or we just, like, don't even look.
That's me. Don't even look.
Self-sabotaging since the dawn of time. Anyway, so he basically says, you know, forget all those things. I can handle you. Like, she kind of made some comment about her family being a mess, and, you know, that's a lot. And he's like, I see you, and I know what you're dealing with, and I can handle all that.
Yeah.
I can handle you. And I really like you a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I know you really like me a lot, so I need to hear you say it.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does he say, like, cut out the icks, but also, like, you need, it's, like,
don't forget,
it's your turn to voice to me how you feel about me, because like, I know you feel some type of way, so tell me. And she's like, feeling, like, awkward about it. He's like, tell me. And he's like, wait a second, you got to tell me with the blazer on, like, so I know it's real. And she's like, ah. And she does tell him, I really do like you, you know? And so that whole idea of, like, can the ick be reversed, like, her sister was like, it cannot be. Once you get the ick, there's no going back. I think we see here the ick can be reversed if the person you're getting icked out about addresses it and has a real, like, conversation with you about it. Now, I'm not saying it can be reversed every single time, because you may not be in the place where they are emotionally already when you get the ick. And if the ick comes early enough, you're done.
And some of the things, like, people get the ick about is, like, okay.
Like, the sister gave her example. She's like, remember so-and-so, and his backpack kept hitting his back as he ran? And she's like, oh, and that other guy that was trying to catch the ping pong ball, when every time he bent down, he couldn't catch it, so he was just constantly running after it. Like, that is so funny, because that's the level of ick people get. Like, that reel of the one girl that keeps adding, like, icks to her list, like, and her notes app.
It's like 650 deep now.
It's like, can't swim.
Yeah.
Can't walk backwards. Can't do it.
Drinks out of a straw weird. Or
right.
like any little
swings
thing.
on a swing set. Like
Yeah.
can't do any of these things. So it does get ridiculous. And so I do think that is becoming a problem. We can't just write everything off as an ick and be like, well, we're the better ones or whatever. But the ick was reversed because
Praise
of
the
Noah's
Lord.
so great, and she's just trusts him enough to be like, you're right.
That was dumb. Yep. What do we got?
Let's see. The next thing I think we really see is the basketball game.
Yeah. Her meeting the friends and the wags.
Yeah. The wags. I hate the term wags.
I know. It's weird.
Yeah. But I love that she went to just watch his basketball game. Like, I think that's so cute.
It is cute.
And I love how they, like, you know, she was, like, walking into the gym, like, about to walk in the gym. And they have this, like, hype music going. Until she opens the door, music cuts off, and it's just, like, the sound of the basketball shoes on the floor, like, squeaking. And there's, like, a handful of people in the bleachers. It's just at this high school gym. Like, it's middle-aged dudes just playing basketball together, and they're like very average.
Very.
But I think that's real life. Like, how many dudes are in like random pickup leagues or whatever, and they're just having fun. It's their hobby. They love to do it. It's where they can find community. And she's like, yeah, and I'm gonna go support my man, even though he's mid.
Very mid.
Very mid. But I thought that was cute, and you could tell like he was excited that she was there to support him as well. And I told you in the moment, like, he like sees her, goes over to her, and says like he's excited that she's here, and here's all the guys. He introduces her quick. He kisses her goodbye like before she goes to the bleachers. And he goes, "Watch me." And she's like, "I'm watching."
You're like, that's what I'm here for.
It was just so cute and kind of like this innocent moment,
like he was a kid again. Or
yeah,
something.
like just I want you to see me do my thing.
Yeah.
But I did write something down that happened after the basketball game when they leave together, and we see Rebecca is waiting in the car because she's there to pick up Esther.
Oh yeah,
Noah's sister-in-law. And I think this is where like I first had some empathy for Rebecca, because, and again, she made a lot of poor choices. However, she still had the reality to face of like a relationship with Noah was gone, was ended, and he moved on very quickly. And that never feels good.
Yeah.
And especially when you have to actually see that couple together. And so she sees for the first time, like, they're just like all over each other. They're like walking out of the gym, his arms around her, she's laughing, and he gives her a kiss, and they're just doing their thing. And she's just watching it from the car, like, sad about it. And I'm just like, regardless of her poor choices, like, I just kind of felt sad for her in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, that still sucks for sure.
It does. It sucks. But still don't love Rebecca. But I did feel some empathy for her in that moment.
Yeah. I feel like we sort of skipping ahead a little bit, but we see like one of like the main conflicts that we see is that Noah has this box full of all things Rebecca in his drawer situation. What is that thing called? A dresser.
Armoire,
buffet. Whatever. Anyway, console. He's got this box full of all things Rebecca. And Joanne sees it. Like, there's like a photo sticking out of it, and she sees that it's Rebecca. So she kind of just assumes that this box is full of that, which it was. But she just like can't leave it alone. I mean, she kind of lets this fester for what she says, a full week or something like
6
that.
6 days, almost a week.
Yeah. So she finally brings it up to Noah, and they have this conversation, and he's like, no problem. Like, yeah, that is weird that I have that. Like, I'll take care of it.
And she was even like, because I loved how Noah responded to her in that moment of like, hey, I totally get, like, that's valid. Like, that you had to see that. Like, whatever, like you just said. And she was like, he's like, yeah, so it's time for me to just like get that out of the house. And she's like, yeah, like burn it. Like, I don't know. dumpster, like whatever you got to do. Like, and he's like, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Like, because he knew he wasn't going to do that. Like,
right.
out of respect for Rebecca and the relationship that they did have.
Yeah.
You know, he clearly was like wanting to give it to her, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know initially how long it takes him to get rid of it, but Joanne, Morgan, her sister, and the mom end up going through this box, even though she told him that she wouldn't do that. They go through the box, see all the photos, see all the little knickknacks, keepsakes, whatever. And it kind of just like is still really bothering Joanne.
Right.
So, I mean, he does eventually get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, like...
We never really see the how or the when.
Yeah.
The only thing we see is that Morgan, Joanne's sister, is like sitting at the bar, and Rebecca comes in, and she realizes, like, oh, wait, this is the Rebecca that used to date Noah. So Rebecca starts having a conversation with her without letting her know who she is.
Yeah.
And we find out that Rebecca kind of makes up this whole story about like how she met her ex here, and it's like, oh, they want to get back together, and he misses her a lot, and da 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 da. Like this whole storyline, as if like they sat down for 5 hours and had a conversation and decided they want to like give this a try again. Like, and her sister's like, WT heck, like. No, like she's going to call her sister up and says everything she found out.
Yeah.
Or she sends her a bunch of voice memos.
Yeah, and a photo.
And a photo. And when Joanne sees this, she happens to be with Noah at this dinner that they're hosting.
Yeah. Where
they're doing another Shabbat dinner or something like that. Or I forget what they're doing.
Yeah, it was with...
They were looking for...
It was with his brother and sister-in-law and niece.
Yeah, and so when she gets these messages, she decides to like pause this great moment that they're having to go inside and listen to all that, and then that fires her up.
Yeah.
And she's basically hearing all this and like under the impression that he told her he was going to take care of it.
Right.
And he hasn't mentioned anything about talking to her. And so she kind of gets like a little like
ready to strike.
A little feisty.
Mm-hmm.
So when she brings it up to him, accusing him of like basically like talking with her, texting with her. He's like, yeah, I mean, I texted her to like arrange when to meet, but like that's it. And like, you can look at my phone if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. She's like, you really want me to look at your phone? He's like, yeah, I have nothing to hide. She's like, what's your passcode? He gives it to her, and she's like, no, I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, if it was any other relationship, I probably would have, but like, I don't want to do that here.
Yeah.
Because this is the moment that he's like, I wouldn't do that to you.
Right.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, she obviously, like, she comes to her senses and trusts him in this moment. But then she goes back to her sister and, like, lays into her about it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Morgan, to her defense, like, she was just reporting what was told to her by, straight from the mouth of Rebecca.
Right.
So, but Joanne thinks it's Morgan that's lying about it, and like, oh, like, you just don't want us to be together so badly that like you're willing to do this and sabotage the whole thing. Like, he didn't do any of that. And Morgan's like, oh yeah, your boyfriend is suddenly like trustworthy when it comes to like this specific situation of like talking to his ex, his perfect ex, this whatever. So, but Joanne kind of just like doubles down and is like, no, he wouldn't do that. He's not lying. You're lying. Mm-hmm. Turns out Morgan was not lying. She just was reporting what she was told. It was Rebecca that lied to Morgan.
And you know what? At the end of the day, this lesson is go to the freaking source.
Yeah, right.
She should have gone directly to Noah and been like, you need to talk to Rebecca because she's telling my sister that this is what happened.
Right.
And he could have handled that. But again, we see, like, after she, like, tears into her sister, she goes back over to his house, and they're, like, she's just like, ugh, like, this is, like, the worst. Like, nothing feels like it's going right or something. She said like that. And he's like, are you, like, you
With
mean like with us? And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, like you're the only thing I'm 100% sure of in this whole
Yeah.
thing. And then you see his face kind of like the formula is going in his head of like, but am I 100% sure?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, wait, are you not also 100%
Yeah,
sure?
she's just like waiting for him to respond. She's like,
Yeah.
now would be a good time for you to like say
especially
that
because
back.
this is Noah we're talking about, like Mr. Communicator, like Mr.
Yeah.
Reassurance. And in this moment, he decides not to really give her that.
Yeah.
So she again faces it head on and asks him. And then he does kind of tell her, like, I was, asked to I might get this job promotion, or I don't know if at this point,
Mm-hmm.
He was basically like, it's not official yet, but we're going to offer it to you. But the rabbi's like, I know you're seeing this shiksa, which is just a Gentile woman.
Yeah.
And like, you got to figure that part out.
Yeah.
Because like, obviously that's not going to fly. And so he tells her this and is like, she's like, so are you breaking up with me? And he's like, no, I'm not. I need to ask you, like, would you ever consider converting?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what if the answer is no? Like,
yeah.
And he's like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, because he's not willing to say, like, then we break up, because he doesn't want it to
Right,
end. He's really
right.
in love with her.
Yeah.
But also, it's like this real life tension
Yeah.
that they're going through. But it ends up, like, fine, because she's like, well, I have to think about it. Like, maybe I would. And, I just love that, they're always honest with each other.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard and it's, like, potentially a conflict.
Right.
And could potentially end in a breakup situation.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think the next thing, like, I had written down is just Bina, like, talking about his mom. But, like, obviously, Bina hates Joanne.
Hates Joanne, yeah.
And Joanne's not a huge fan of Bina either.
Mm-hmm.
But she's willing to go meet the parents and meet the family and, like, be herself around them and, like, unapologetically, like, she's not pretending to be Jewish or want to be
Right.
Jewish. She's very honest with them about her career and her job and everything.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, listen, like, you just gotta, like, take it or leave it. This is who I am.
Right.
And again, Noah's like cool with all that.
Yep.
He wants her to be
doesn't
himself.
shake him at all. I mean, ultimately, Bina's like, she like acts, because there's this whole thing we don't need to get into, but Bina, like, I guess is really like pretending to like Joanne, but like when they are going to say goodbye, she's like, you'll never be with my son. You'll never end up with my son. And Joanne, like, it kind of like shakes her a little bit, but ultimately it's like, no, that's not.
Yeah, she decides that she's not going to go to the niece's bat mitzvah because of that whole thing. She's like, nobody wants me there anyway. Nobody wants us to be together. Hence the title. Nobody wants this.
Mm-hmm.
And like her sister and her, like, basically have this moment of, like, apologizing and, like, realizing that Rebecca was lying about it all, because the brother, Sasha, basically hears it from his wife and is like, yeah, she made that whole thing up.
Yeah.
And so they realize, okay, she lied about it all. They apologize and ultimately decide, like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm going to go to the bat mitzvah. We're both going to go, actually. And it's also in this time, Joanne makes the decision she decides she's going to convert.
Yep. So
they go to the bat mitzvah. The fact that they enter into Soulja Boy is
so perfect.
I'm telling you, no notes. No freaking notes.
Mm-mm.
It's just iconic. And they walk in, they have a great time, blah, blah, blah. She tells Noah, hey, guess what? Like, I'm going to convert. And he's over the moon.
Yeah. She's like, I want to be a part of this world.
Yeah. And he's even like, awesome, like, I can't wait for you to do this. Like, wait a second, like, you want to do this for you too, right? Like, not just to be with me, like, but you want this for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, of course. And she's kind of then thinking, do I?
Like, not really.
Yeah,
but like
I kind of just want to be with
like,
you.
yes, but also no. Like, I don't know.
She doesn't know yet.
Yeah,
she's
like
learning.
scared as heck.
And she still like doesn't know everything there is to know about
Right.
Judaism. So
Right.
she's just like, I'm willing to continue to learn, but like I don't know if that's going to be enough. So we see this moment between like, well, speaking of Bina, Noah's like so quick to tell his mom, like, you're gonna be so excited to find out that like she's converting.
Mm-hmm.
And like she then goes in for the hug to Bina and whispers in Bina's ear, like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And the mom's face is just like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So at one point, I don't know, she decides to leave or something. Or
they meet up again outside, like.
Well, I wasn't talking about Rebecca, because I think that's really what the conversation between Joanne and Rebecca is really what made her come to her final decision about things. Because Rebecca, you know, she ran after Rebecca and was like, Rebecca, like, hey, like what you said, like the lie that you made up, like almost destroyed the relationship between me and my sister. Like, that's not cool. And she's like, that was really out of character for me. I'm really sorry. And she's like, but she's like, I heard you're converting or something like that. And Rebecca is basically explaining to her, like, I just don't understand how, like, he is choosing you. Like, you're going to have to be the head rabbi's wife. Like, not only do you represent him, but you represent, like,
the temple.
Yeah. And, like, people are going to go to you for anything.
Yeah, like you have to set an example. And
like a good example.
Yeah, she's like, wait, a good example?
Like all the time?
Right. So she's like, this isn't just like a weekend thing or whatever. Like, she's like, this will be his entire life.
Right.
Being the head rabbi.
Right.
And you can see the wheels turning in Joanne's head, like, wait, am I really ready for that? Like, am I wanting to really jump into this like that? So yeah, then we see her kind of go back. I don't know where they met, on the rooftop or something.
I don't know. I think it was just like
somewhere
on, like,
outside
the bridge, like walking out or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they had that moment. And honestly, it starts off as a very sweet moment where he's just like, basically says, I love you to her. And she says, you stole my line.
Yeah.
I loved that.
I know, that was really cute. And then she just says it back, but
because she does genuinely love him. Like, that's
of course.
This isn't like the fake romance trope that we see in a lot of these other rom-coms. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to pretend to be Jewish and then he's going to fall in love with me and then I have to break his heart. It's like, no, she's falling in love with him genuinely and trying to decide if she wants to be Jewish. Yeah,
she's like really wrestling with this. But that, like, she kind of just tells him, like, she doesn't think she's ready to fully commit to this conversion, and that she's obviously scared of it. And she just was like, how does this work? How do we make this work? And I mean,
because she's like, you can't have both.
You can't
like,
have
you can't
both.
have, and then she said, and I would never make you choose.
Yeah.
Because she has already been told by him that, like, this is his dream too. Like, he's made this decision as a teenager that he wanted to eventually become head rabbi and, like, be involved in that. And he still thinks that, like, he still shares that idea, but now he's in love with this girl and he doesn't really know how to answer her.
Yeah. But she says goodbye and
it was
leaves,
a tearful goodbye.
And she's like, she tells him not to come after her, which then she leaves the party, gets on this little bus, and we see basically her whole bus ride back to whatever parking lot it is. And he obviously goes after her, but it seems like he's not.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, where is he going to show up?
And at one moment, the bus stops, or they haven't left yet, and
the door
doors open, and you can see her, like, face light up with maybe some hope, and she even, like, leans forward to see who's coming on. It's this little kid. And then she even smiles because she's like, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, I told him not to come after me.
I told him not to.
It's only going to make things harder.
Yeah. But he does. The bus stops. She gets off. The bus pulls away. And there he is, just, like, standing by her car. Which is, like, it's just such a great little moment. And he says, like, he just tells her, like, well, you were right. Like, I can't have both.
Yeah.
And then they just share another kiss and
Passionate Kiss, same song that played during their first Passionate Kiss.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we can only assume that means he's like willing to give up the job as head rabbi for now.
Yeah.
If it means staying with Joanne. And she never said, like, I decided I didn't want to convert. She's just like, I don't know yet. And if I have to make a decision now, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
And
like,
I don't know if that is good
time.
enough for you. Like, I know that you need me to be in this place, and I just don't know if I can get there. So, like, again, with the honesty.
Yeah. And this whole entire thing from start to finish the timeline was not that long.
No.
As far as them being together. Like, not enough for her to be like, yeah, I'm ready to convert to Judaism. Like, I would imagine you would need more time to make that decision. That's a big decision.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, we're really left off. The credits start rolling right after they share that kiss, after he says, you know, you're right, I can't have both. And so we're assuming these things, but we did find out that it was renewed for season 2.
Yay!
Which, duh. I mean, again.
And that means we get to do another episode.
Yes! Oh my gosh, I know this one was a little longer, but it's like...
It's just so
it's
good.
It's worth it. And there's so much goodness in this.
Yes.
It's like, I loved it. And seriously, no notes about this.
No.
I think the main takeaway outside of like their obvious chemistry is like communication.
Yes.
Is so important and can literally make or break a relationship.
Yeah.
And I know that's like nothing new. Everybody says communication is key, but like for real though,
and here we see it.
We get to see the result of good communication, and you're like, and it's not that hard.
It's not. It's
we
so
make
simple.
it so much harder than it has to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just love it. It's not a slow burn. It might be kind of like a forbidden love because they're like
sort of right,
kind of like differing in like the religious component. But oh man, did we root for them every single second,
step of the way?
Did we cringe?
No,
not once.
Never.
I never.
I
cringed.
could never.
And when she cringed, we were like, "Yeah, I get it."
Right.
But like we got over it.
Exactly.
Obviously, okay, toxic or healthy relationship?
Healthy.
I mean, some might say like, no, like they should have never even like been together if she wasn't wanting to convert. But it's like we can't say that yet because she might be ready to,
right? And
like that's their personal journey. But
yeah,
overall healthy dynamic as far as their communication, how they respect one another, just how they get along, like everything.
So good.
This show is going to be iconic.
Absolutely iconic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely not forgettable. This is the third time I've rewatched it. Well, okay, I watched like half without you first, and then we rewatched the whole thing, and then we rewatched it just this weekend. But it's so good, and I just hope that their relationship influences others in the communication and all that.
Right.
I would rewatch it again, like starting tomorrow. Like I
know we just finished it last night, and we could start it again.
Yep,
100%.
Yep, it totally lives up to the hype. I give this movie 5 stars, 10 out of 10. However, whatever the scale is, it's over. Like I actually think I rated their chemistry 12 out of 10.
Yeah, they
just looked so good together. Amazing.
Yep,
amazing. I just think we might need to end it right there. Like just. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
And the next time.
Okay.
Bye.